and welcome back to the lean screen experiment. This is week 2 and I want to share how the past week went, what I noticed, what surprised me, and what lean screen action I'm testing next. It's been a really interesting week and I'd say I've had 2 key findings. The first was how important understanding my baseline actually was. As you'll have seen in my week 1 intro video, at the start of this experiment I checked my phone stats and realised I was spending around 3 hours a day on my phone. Just knowing that number quietly changed my behaviour. I wasn't strict with myself, but it created an intention to be more aware of when I was picking up my phone and whether I actually needed to. With that awareness, I made 2 small changes that had some pretty noticeable results. First, I decided to stop watching movies or TV shows via apps like Netflix or Prime on my phone anymore. If I wanted to watch something, I sat in the lounge and watched it on the TV instead. And honestly, even though it's another type of screen, it felt very different. It was more social, more shared, and a lot less isolating than watching alone on my phone. The second change was at bedtime. Normally I'd get into bed and scroll and scroll and scroll. Instead, I decided to read a fiction book, one I'd barely been able to get into before because my phone kept distracting me. Surprisingly though, I got really into it. I found myself reading for an hour or more most nights. And something else happened too. I actually started feeling tired. Before, when my phone was the last thing I looked at night, I never really felt sleepy. I looked into this and learned that blue light from phones can signal daytime to our brains and delay melatonin release, the hormone that helps us sleep. Many sleep guidelines actually suggest avoiding screens 60 to 90 minutes before bed. And I can see why now. Without late night phone use, I started yawning again, falling asleep more easily and sleeping better. That had a flow-on effect too. I noticed I had more energy, both mentally and physically, during the day. And after making those changes, so understanding my baseline, moving shows off my phone and not using my phone before sleep, at the end of the week I checked my screen time again. And I was genuinely shocked. On some days I'd almost halved it, from around 3 hours down to about an hour and a half. That felt really great, but it didn't feel sustainable. And that brings me to my second finding. The pull of my phone was intense. There was constant internal chatter. Where is it? What's happening? What am I missing out on? It was really hard to ignore, and it honestly felt a bit like withdrawal. Like at any moment I could slip straight back into using my phone as a distraction or boredom filler. And that was pretty eye-opening. You don't realise how strong a habit is until you try to loosen it. It made it clear to me that for this experiment to work long term, the changes need to be sustainable, not just short-term ones. So, to clearly sum up the results of week 1, by understanding my baseline and making a few small conscious changes, I significantly reduced my screen time, in some cases almost halving it. I slept better, felt more energised and was more present. But despite those positives, the pull of my phone was still very strong. And the changes didn't yet feel fully sustainable long term. Which leads me to the next lean screen action for the week ahead. This week, I'm switching my phone to black and white, or grayscale. Why? Well, I've read that removing colour can make phones less stimulating and reduce screen time. Colour plays a big role in grabbing our attention and triggering dopamine. Dopamine is a motivation and reward-seeking chemical in our brain, and it's triggered through phone use by things like likes, comments, and refreshes, keeping us chasing the next small hit of interest. When colour is removed, dopamine is still released, but it's turned down, and scrolling feels flatter and less engaging. Some research suggests grayscale can reduce screen time between 15 to 40%, particularly for social media and casual browsing. So that's what I'll be testing this week, and I'll report back on how it goes. This experiment and sharing it is a bit of a challenge to fit into my busy life, but hopefully if I can do this heavy lifting up front and share it for someone watching to easily participate along the way and make a change, that makes it worthwhile. So if you want to follow along or try this experiment yourself, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for being here. This is the Lean Screen.